But we're going to now come to our final speaker of the morning, Marlene Wylie, who is immediate past president. And Marlene's going to kind of pull all this together and put it into context, which, you know, always comes back to, well, Zainab's question actually, does what I offer match the ambition of our pupils? So is every learner actually able to access a high quality art, craft and design curriculum? That's what we're here for. I think it's fair to say that in her presidency, Marlene had a very, very busy time. She's a very busy immediate past president as well, I must add. But yeah, certainly over the last 2 years, working on some very significant projects, all benefiting NSEAD members and their learners. One of the most high profile, of course, was the Visualise research project and report, really hard hitting research into the creativity crisis that we see in our schools and telling the story of those who are most impacted. So Marlene comes with a marvelous perspective and that challenge to you now, Marlene, to bring these presentations to a close and knit it all together. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I'm just going to share my screen. Let's do that. I'm hoping that everyone can see my screen now.
That's perfect.
That's great. Okay, so I am deeply honoured, Michelle, to be the immediate past president of NSEAD. It has been a huge undertaking, I have to say, but very deeply honoured to have taken up that role and feeling very well supported through that process, now supporting Andy in his role to take us on into the future with what we want to see as contemporary art, which involves representation that matters to many of our learners who are not feeling perhaps as represented as they might be. So I'm honoured also to have led the Visualise research report delivered through the Runnymede Trust and the Freelands Foundation, funded by the Freelands Foundation. And today I want to share the findings on race and inclusion in secondary school art education and discuss how we can design a learner-centred curriculum that truly reflects the diverse artistic voices shaping Britain. The latest findings of the Visualise Impact Report show significant progress, but as we've heard from Will through the School Art Where Is report, there is still work to be done. Sorry, I'm just seeing if I can move my slide on. Sorry, just bear with me. I'm not able to move my slides. Just going to stop share and reshare to see if that makes a difference.
Apparently there is a helpful little box in the corner of the screen that you need to find that's on Zoom view. We discovered it this morning. So if you can.
Okay, so we're there, hopefully, on slides. So I think we would all agree that art is a powerful tool for self-expression. We've had a lot about that being said already this morning. Identity and cultural understanding is deeply, deeply important for so many of our young people. Yet, historically, the UK art secondary curriculum has not adequately reflected the diversity of our society. In 2024, our research, the Visualise research, found that only 2.3% of named artists in GCSE art exam papers were from Black or South Asian backgrounds. However, in 2025, this figure and this is quite significant, has increased to 11.3%, marking a five-fold improvement. This is a step forward, we can't deny that, but we must ensure that representation continues to grow across all historical periods and not just contemporary art. Students have long recognised this gap. Our original report found that 66% of secondary school students wanted to study artists from a wider range of ethnic backgrounds, rising to 80% among Black students. The latest findings show that exam boards have responded, that their response have increasingly mentioned standalone artists of colour from 8.4% to 23.3%. And this is an increase of 177% in terms of representation. Now, this is testament to the power of student voice and student voices representing and shaping educational reform. So, despite this progress, challenges remain. While contemporary artists of colour are now more visible in exam materials, the representation of artists from earlier periods, particularly the 19th and mid-20th centuries, remain limited. Teachers still struggle with a lack of resources and training to effectively integrate diverse artistic voices into their lessons. 90% of educators say that supplementary resources on minority ethnic artists would support their teaching, yet many still lack these materials. To address these challenges, we must rethink how art is taught. A learner-centered curriculum should expand the range of artists studied across historical periods, encourage critical discussion on race, identity, and artistic heritage, provide teachers with training and resources for inclusive lessons. By embedding these principles into our curriculum, we can ensure that every student sees themselves reflected in the art that they study. And this is quite a powerful and useful infographic as we look at the impact that exam boards have had in how they have represented artists in the exam papers. So exam boards have made significant strides in diversifying their assessments. The Visualised Impact Report shows this intention of Black artists have increased 7-fold and South Asian artists 4-fold. However, further efforts are needed to ensure representation across all historical periods and not just the contemporary art exam boards must continue to lead the way in shaping inclusive curriculum. So practical strategies for educators. So how can educators implement change? Some effective strategies, I would say, include culturally responsive teaching, integrating diverse artistic traditions into lessons, collaborating with local artists and galleries to expose students to a broader range of work. And we could see very clearly from Zainab's presentation earlier just how rich and effective that work is. Using visual resources to access global art movements and perspectives. And again, through the presentations that we've heard today, we can see how that is already taking place and how some schools and institutions are making great strides in using what's out there digitally. These strategies empower educators to create a more inclusive and engaged learning environment for all students. I'm just now going to take us to the work that NSCAD have been incredibly involved with in terms of partnership with the Oak National Academy. And what I've been really very impressed with over the years that I've been working with Oak and supporting the work of Oak, National Academy is their ability to engage in the process of listening, learning, and taking action. And this has been a need that they've responded to with all seriousness, to diversify the artists that have been represented in the lessons that they've produced. So I do encourage you to review the new lessons that are being incorporated into the curriculum, and to certainly kind of look at the diverse artists and educators that are delivering on this really important work. Students, we know, need to see themselves represented as a source of inspiration for future careers and academic success. And I just want to finish with this slide. And I feel in many ways quite emotional about this, because this is a young man, Aris, who in that first image is age 12, and who accompanied me to, I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to get to the Faith Ringgold exhibition at the Serpentine Gallery in 2019. And Aris is still accompanying me to exhibitions. The next image of Aris is a very young, very different looking Aris, 5 years later, where he accompanied me to the summer exhibition, aged 17. He very much enjoys visiting exhibitions with me, and it's because of the type of exhibitions that we get to see that have been put on over the last 5 years that have responded to the call for the diversification of what we're seeing, not only in schools, but also in cultural institutions. Representation in art education is not just about fairness. It's about enriching students' learning experience, fostering creativity. And while progress has been made, continued advocacy is needed. We must push for curriculum reform, support teachers with the right resources, and ensure that every student sees themselves reflected in the art that they study. Art education should reflect the world we live in, the Britain we live in. Diverse, dynamic, inclusive. Let's continue to work together to make that vision a reality. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Marlene. It feels really fitting that our final image this morning is of Aris, a learner, somebody who has grown, because it reminds us that's what we're all here for. That's what we do. At the end of the day, we do everything for them. So thank you so much for everything that you said there, but particularly leaving us with that, because I think that's what we need to hold on to. So much to absorb, such a rich range of perspectives, and lots of questions coming out from the speakers, but also I know from all the conference delegates.